Hello and welcome to week 1 of the 8-week program. Welcome, hello. Hopefully you've had a chance to get your natal chart, go through that, navigate your natal chart video, and let's get started. So you have this exact booklet to go through. And that's just how every class is going to look. I'm going to pop this up on the screen and we're going to go over it. So how I've done it is today we're going to talk about what is astrology, and the type of astrology we're going over is Western or tropical astrology. What is natal chart astrology specifically? And for the purposes of this course, we use the Placidus house system. When you look at your chart, that's the house system that we're using. It's a little more advanced, but that's just what you want to make sure you're using the same house system every time. We will be going through the benefits for self-awareness and then the 4 elements, which is very important. And we're going to talk a lot about in our integration. So before I even get started, I'm going to say the homework if you want to make notes, but we have the weekly journal prompt. So after you go through this lesson, look at the journal prompts. I'd like you to make elements flashcards. Flashcards are going to be a really big theme in this class. I used flashcards when I studied astrology and they seem to help. So you need to make 4 because we have 4 elements. So that would be this week. And then I'd like for you to make a goal for yourself so that at the end of the course, you can see how much you've learned, or some kind of a learning goal for yourself, what you want to get out of it. Make sure you write that down. So if we're at the end and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't hit this goal or learned this yet, you come to me and let me know so we can make sure you can hit your learning goal for why you enrolled in this program. So then there are little reminders, just watch these videos before you come to live classes. There will be a quiz at the very end. It's just going to be a fun quiz. It's nothing serious. It's just to test to see how much you've learned in an 8-week, which is a 2-month period. And there, no assignments, just the journal prompts. So let's get into it. What is Western astrology? What is astrology? So astrology is a very fun thing, but astrology is defined as the art or practices. It's like an art and science together, because there's math in the chart with the angles, but then it's there's a soulful spiritual element to it. Then it's also an art. It's very cool. It's a bunch of different things. So that's why I like it. But it's determining the supposed influence of the planets and how the planets influence humans on Earth. So I always think about it how the moon affects the tides, and then humans are 60-70% water. So the moon has that effect on us. You've heard the stories about more people at the emergency room on the full moon, things like that. So I don't think they're coincidences. I think that the planets do have an effect on us, but at the end of the day, we have free will, and you can't blame the planets for any behavior. I'm going to go down here to our I call it our code of ethics when studying astrology, and it's always having self accountability when using spiritual tools like this. So everyone's really gotten into horoscopes. Probably you've read your horoscope at a young age. That's usually how you get introduced to astrology. Now, horoscopes are not the most accurate thing, but they're fun, and there's always something in a horoscope that you can relate to. And it lets you sort of be seen, and it's always nice to be seen. So it's a little mini forecast. And the people who write, astrologers who write horoscopes, are using positions of the planets and where they are to write that horoscope and how it affects the particular signs. They just don't use any of the astrology language. They use English or whatever language it's written in. So the zodiac and Western astrology goes way, way back. You can read all of this, and it's the constellations and everything. So and then now we with the planets and everything, that's astronomy. So we have the astronomy tied into astrology. But yeah, astrology is basically like how the planets affect us. So the planets affect humans on Earth, and it originates way back. There's even, I don't know exact dates, but I've even dabbled in medical astrology, and that's what they used to use, medical astrology, as like a normal sort of like way to take care of themselves, because that was one of the only tools that they had. So I think that's really cool. So what is natal chart astrology specifically? So this is what we are really learning in this course. So natal chart astrology is the use of astrology for like self-awareness, looking at your chart and getting to know yourself from it. So natal chart astrology isn't like, okay, today the sun is in Libra and the moon is in Cancer. That means that this event could happen in the world, or like Uranus is in Taurus. So there's going to be things will change up when it comes to food and financial systems. What I'm talking about right there, like if you see or hear anything where it's like this planet is in this sign and this means something, or if someone tells you we're in the age of Aquarius, which we are, that's not natal chart astrology. That's just like astrology and how it's called mundane astrology, where we look at the events like historically and how the planets are connected to events. It's cool. It's a little creepy how like a planet moves into a sign and then like history does repeat itself. It's very interesting. But I just think like if we know that history is repeating itself, these planets, why aren't we like making changes? Why aren't we like aware of this? Why aren't we consciously aware of this? Maybe we will be as we move into the age of Aquarius, because Aquarius rules astrology, which is really cool. So I hope astrology just gets like bigger and bigger and more of a popular topic. And it's like, just like a not as like odd thing to kind of talk about. But natal chart astrology specifically is just looking at yourself through an astrological lens. So it's just like you've watched Navigating Your Natal Chart, it's going to come up again, but it's your chart, like at your exact time of birth, and the planets describe who you are as a person and some themes in your life. And it's just a tool to better understand yourself, because have you ever made a decision and you're just like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh no, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have said yes to that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. And you have little moments like that. My goal is that you know yourself so well that you will not say yes to things that don't feel good, and that you'll always feel good in your energy. So astrology is one of those tools that has really helped me. There's so many other tools I know as well. I am a Gemini, and I've studied a bunch of them, but this one is my favorite. I have an Aquarian influence in my chart. So I'm just reading. I as a Gemini, I forget what I write. It's like it's a true moment. Sometimes I say things and I'm like, I don't remember saying or writing that. But the code of ethics there at the bottom, I'm just reading what I wrote there. When we're using natal chart astrology, you're gonna watch these videos and you're gonna learn stuff. And I also encourage you to go off and I probably already mentioned my book to learn from more info as well, but also doing your own self-study, self-learning, self-teaching. I do it. I think it's very important. But a lot of the stuff out there in the world with astrology is very like, if you read something when as you study through this 8 weeks and beyond, and it doesn't feel right, or it feels very dark and like just not very nice, don't listen to it. Like that's the word. Like it feels very fatalistic. Don't listen to that interpretation of it. You don't have like that's just no, don't do that. There's a lot of not so great things about astrology, or like how to interpret certain things out there in the world and on the internet. So the first thing is you're always going to use astrology to empower yourself, not disempower yourself. So it's an empowerment tool. When you learn something, there's no such thing as a bad placement. Placement's on the next slide, but there's no such thing as a bad placement. And you have to use this information to empower yourself. Also, love. We're not, if once you learn how to read your chart, you're going to want to read your friends and family charts. And again, sharing this information with love and empowerment. But then again, making sure you do your own work, your inner work first before sharing it with others. Practice over perfection. And then always have a beginner's mind. I take astrology classes all the time, even though I know quite a bit and I am teaching it to you, but I'm always learning and I always try to come at it with a fresh perspective and lens. So, having this code of ethics was actually inspired by one of my teachers. Her list was a little longer and different, but I feel like it's a very important thing to have to keep yourself accountable when you are learning a spiritual tool. So I just read something there. It's the coolest part. Yeah, no one has a chart like you. And there's a stat that there won't be another person with like the exact same chart as you for like millions of years or something. And so it's like you have this, we are like I'm like thinking a lot and the words can't come out. So it's like our soul and who we are is so unique. And you hear those things all the time where it's like, don't be like everyone else, be yourself, like don't follow, lead, do your own thing. And it's very true from looking at an astrological lens. Like no one else has the same chart as you. And it's because of where you start at the rising. And then because someone like, there's so many Geminis in the world. I do know a lot of Geminis, but none of them have the exact same chart as me, and none of them have the aspects to my sun, right? So, for you, if you're listening to this, you're Sagittarius, because I have so many Sagittariuses like come to me. It's because it's the opposite of Gemini. That's what I think. But there are so many unique Sagittariuses out there because they can all have different rising signs. Their sun lives in different houses. The sun can be aspecting the moon. Someone else's sun could be aspecting Mercury, aspecting Pluto. Like it creates very different energies within a person. So like be very proud of who you are. And we're going to use astrology to empower yourself even more. Okay, next slide. You looked at your natal chart. Hopefully you've watched this. And so the reason I want you to know that you have a planet in a zodiac sign in a house is because that's what's called a placement. So a placement isn't just like, hi, I'm Lisa. I have sun in Gemini. That's cool. But you have to say, I am Lisa. I am sun in Gemini in the 11th house. So yes, you have to go. I'm just reading it here. I'm filming this in Mercury retrograde, so I'm hoping there's no issues, but says zodiac sign, then planet, then house. Gemini, sun in the 11th house. I'm going to tell you right now, it needs to say sun in Gemini in the 11th house because you can't say like Aries, Saturn. It has to be Saturn and Aries. Like if you're going to go through all your planets there. Ignore me. I'm going to have to switch this before I actually give this to you. So the copy that you guys have is going to be different than this. Okay. Love Mercury retrograde. So, but the reason is you have to have all three of them to make a placement. So if in the live classes, I'm like, tell me one of your placements and what have you learned about it? You have to include all three. It's like the three layers. So yes. And then the reason why we're going to go through all of this is because in week 5, you're really going to decode before we move on to the more like intermediate stuff past week 5. Yeah, but there's a great deal of like wisdom in Sun and Gemini in the 11th house. I mean, we have a personality. You think of the sun, how I shine like a Gemini, this like teacher, messenger, person who likes talking. I gave myself a microphone, like I have a talk show. That's what I always say. And then the 11th house is the house of community, technology, groups, organizations, friendships. So I'll give you an insight for what I have learned about myself, especially through business, is that I always thought that I was going to have like a one-to-one business. Like by one-to-one, I mean like working with people one-to-one. And I've done a lot of chart readings, which is a one-to-one process. They were nice to do, love doing readings and connecting with people. But then I started teaching classes and they were like just free classes, to develop interest. And I was like, wow, in the same amount of time as I do a reading, I can impact like 5 or 6 people as opposed to just one. And then they all can get to know each other too. And then you're connecting with like, you're finding people who are like-minded. They have the same interests, and that's nice, you know, to have a commonality with someone. And I was like, why am I trying to build a one-to-one business when I have Sun in the 11th house, which is like community? And I've learned that, and this is where you have that like beginner's mind. My eye is really itchy. If you have like the beginner's mind, I took a class and then it was like, if you look at 7th house, which we're going to learn is the partnership house, the one-to-one house, I got 2 planets in there. They're outer planets. Those planets might actually not make it that easy for me to have a one-to-one business, but we have Sun and Venus, which is like the personality, how I shine, and then Venus, the planet of like things that I love. It's like, okay, those are easier placements. They're not bad. There's no such thing as a bad planet, but bad placement. But there are going to be things that feel easier and feel more in flow. And when something doesn't feel in flow, it's asking you to make a change and to grow. Your soul is asking you to evolve. So we'll be breaking down your placements over this course so you can have better self-awareness. We're going to move into the elements now. So there are 4 elements. We have water, air, earth, and fire. Oh, I apologize if I'm like touching my eye like in the video. I have a Virgo placement that's like, stop the video, go scratch your eye, and like restart this whole thing. But I'm going to try not to be a perfectionist here. We all have had an itchy eyeball before. Okay, water. So I'm going to ask you some questions to see if you connect with this, and you're going to bring this to the live class. So water represents silence and trust. It's that inner part of you that wants to be in flow, that wants to be peaceful. It wants to feel solitude. It wants to feel the emotions and listen to that like inner intuitive, like your gut feeling. It wants to be off in dreamland. It's very yin energy. When I say yin, it's feminine energy. I don't mean like gender. It's just the feminine polarity. Water signs is all about like that like empathetic energy. Like you're sitting in front of me and it's like, I feel for you. I can literally feel what you are feeling. So you can journal at the bottom or in a separate book about how you connect to the water element. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. And as you answer these, it can help you relate to whether or not you really connect with this element. And then you can go in your chart and see how many planets you have in water, because you might have a lot and really connect with it. You might have like none, but still connect to it. But you could even have a lot and not connect to it at all, which means we have to look at that. And in the live class, I'll probably give you homework to sort of connect with this. You want to ideally have a balance of all 4. However, you're going to feel connected more so to one over them all, or like 1 or 2. So some water questions is, do you find yourself like, do you cry easily? That's a really good one. Do you cry easily? Does any kind of water activity make you feel calm? So like going swimming in any body of water, even taking a bath or showering, do you feel you're energetically cleansing? Are you someone who's gravitated to like spiritual matters? Do you go to like Reiki and you really like that? Are you like water? Do you feel other people's feelings and it like upsets you? Do you feel like collective energy and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave my house? Would you rather be at home than be out? Do you have a small group of friends? Do you feel more introverted? I just had another one that I was going to say and I lost it. Oh, do you like to be around animals more than people? That's one. Or even like if there are any kids in your life, like children have that same, like animals and kids have that energy, and it's like it's different than adults. So, but you can pick up on that, you can feel that. So if you're answering yes to any of these questions, maybe you're connecting to the water element. So journal all of that below. You can pause me and go do that, or do that at a different time. So the next element is air. And I did this by color because that's helpful. So, and then I'm going to say how, I'll do this first. I'm going to say how because they say you want to have a balance, right? So it's like, well, how do you create a balance? There's no such thing as perfect balance. It's always going to like back and forth. But with water, it's like every day in the morning, you have to do the water activities, right? You go to the bathroom, you use the water to brush your teeth, to shower, do all of these things, like wash your face. And then in the morning, it said you should drink water to get your body like started. And then when we are first born as human, or before we're even born, being in womb and is like in kind of like being in that water quiet space, like it's you're alone. If you have a lot of water, you may like alone time, like you're like, I need to recharge, like please leave me alone. But so that's how in life we are all born from like water. And then in the morning we should all be doing like a water thing. We should be connecting with the water element when we first wake up in the morning. It's kind of weird, but it'll make sense as I go through the next one. Air. So air is our second element. It represents wonder and consciousness. These are people who think first. They're like, what does my head tell me? As opposed to the water signs, which are very in the heart. Air is like, I have to think, I have to research, I need to learn. Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts. I'm stumbling over my words. This is the element I connect to the most. Very mental approach to things. It's like, okay, where's the logic in this? They can be very detached because they're up here. They're not like in their body even. Random fact, I have lots of air in my chart. If I don't put my food out in the morning, I will forget to eat because my mind is preoccupied with other things. Overthinking energy. But these are some questions if you connect with this. Is like you have a bunch of books. Doesn't mean you read them all or finish them all, but you have a bunch of books. You can have like 10 tabs open on your computer because you're bouncing back and forth to things. You have not like a big friend group, but you like to be social and go out. You like to connect with people. You know a lot of people. You have no issues talking. You could talk about anything. Like, I mean, yeah, you could talk about anything. I just got distracted there by something, which is a very air thing. So we're going to tie that into it. But yeah, air, there's an endless curiosity with everything, and even like a fascination with like people. You're like, why do people do what they do? I need to learn about this. Air, if you have a lot of air or you connect with it, you're going to know a lot of random information, random facts. And the energy is yang, which is the masculine side of things. Air moves really fast. So we think about the literal wind outside. It can move pretty fast sometimes, and it's very changeable, changing its mind. You're like, which way is it going to go? Air people will not even know which way they're going to go next. They don't know what's going to happen, right? So like, if anyone's ever said to you before, like, oh, you change your mind too much, but you have a lot of air, it's like you're supposed to be doing that for whatever reason. It helps you figure things out. So how air works is after we've done water during the day, like we've done our morning routine and everything, then you're like, okay, what's on the list for today? Then maybe you should never look at your phone when you get up. I'm guilty of it, but like you should not jump to air right away. Because when you go scroll on social media or you go check your emails or you like someone's texted you already or whatever, you're jumping to air without like dealing with the water first. So after you do your water, then you can check your phone, check the to-do list, communicate as needed. And then after we were in womb and we were born, we are like fresh little human people. And it's a really odd way to say it, but everything is new, right? So from the moment you're born to let's say 18 years old, you're just, or even let's say 22, you're just like learning. You're in that, like you go to school, right? Everything's new. Like as a baby, you learn how to like hold your head up. Like everything is learning, which is air. Like if you have a lot of air, you might like, you love taking courses. Maybe that's why you're here. Like you need to learn more. So that's air. So hopefully you're answering the questions as I talk really fast. But you can pause me, journal about your air, or we continue on. We have Earth. Earth represents respect and balance. Earth is reliable, practical, sensual, resourceful, results oriented. And it's that yin again, right? So Earth will connect more with the water. It's more calm. It's very grounding. I like to say Earth people are like trees, very rooted in the ground, sturdy, steady. You can lean on them a little bit. They're not going to fall over. They're the practical people though. They want to be of service. They're here. They're like, okay, I'm here to be of service. But then they can also be very like, they're money oriented. They're like, pay me what I'm worth for this job, right? So the questions you can answer if you're connected to your Earth is, do you have a healthy work cycle and boundaries? So like, or even a question like, are you working or are you of service right now? So like, what else? Do you live in a clean space? Like are you cleaning, tidying, organizing? Another thing with Earth is like healthy beautification or taking care of your body. So like anything like health related, really checking in and making sure that like you're doing well and you're taking care of yourself. Earth people are very like selfless beings. They'll take care of others, and it's like, but you have to make sure you take care of yourself first. Yeah. Earth is that like, do you have a structure in place? Are you efficient with things? Is efficiency very important, right? So that is Earth. How this shows up in our day after we've done our morning routine with water, we've looked at our to-do list, we've messaged people, checked the emails, we start working, we start our jobs, whatever that looks like for you. You start your job and hopefully you like your job and the work that you do, and the work that you're doing feels like you are of service to someone or the world in some way. You believe you are in positive service. And then how it works when we're looking at like our whole life, not just the day. We're born, we go to school, we learn, then we go work. So it's a different age for everybody. Whether you were 18, you go full-time work, or you're in your 20s, you go full-time work. But that's really the Earth cycle. It's the longest cycle we live in our lives as like adults. And I'm just barely at the beginning of it, but it's a very long cycle. And even if you think of the day, that the days like water's quick in the morning, maybe, I don't know how long your morning routine is, how long your shower is, all these things, right? And then air might be, I don't know how long that is, but like Earth, we work technically the way the world is set up, like hours in a day, right? So yeah, if we're not sleeping, you may be working, finding the balance. But pause, journal about Earth, how we're connecting with this element. And we're going to go to the last one, which is fire. So we have to say it a little more with some excitement. Fire. And it's yang. So we have that again, fast, like masculine charged energy, but fire is all wisdom and heart. Fire represents our action, passion, our intensity, our impulsivity, our sexuality. And fire is how anyone with fire, they're gonna like be like, stand up for what you believe in, go move the energy in your body, get physical, make impact. So like it's those people, if you're doing a workout, they're like, feel the burn, like let's see the sweat, like that's someone with a lot of fire. Yes, like any kind of physical activity is fire. Any movement of the body, the heart though, anyone who has a lot of fire is going to come across potentially a little intense. I have intense on there. They're going to come a little intense. My astrology teacher said that if you have a lot of fire in your chart, you might just like, stuff might just come out of your mouth, and like you're gonna like say things that you might not mean, but or maybe you do mean it. It's the truth. You're just speaking the truth, and it just like comes out. But sometimes people with a lot of fire in their chart, you have to watch your words. And if you do say something and someone does take it personally because they have a lot of water and they're very emotional, right? this thing is like fire signs have to learn how to apologize. If like they have offended somebody that is very like close to them, and like they have to learn to apologize if something does come out of their mouth, they're like, oh my gosh, didn't mean to say that, right? um I told this, my mom has so much fire in her chart, and I told her this as like a thing, like, fire signs, they have to learn to apologize. She looked at me and she said, no, I don't. And then there's that kind of energy that's going to come out too. So how fire works in our day is you're done working, you go home, you have fun. Fire is going to encourage you to have fun. So like when you're done work, like hopefully we have energy when we're done work at the end of the day, but like you're going to want to do something fun, right? Maybe you go on a run or a walk. You go to what fire people are like, they walk and the party starts energy. Maybe you go to like the a party. I'm saying this as like I know what's going on in the world. So like end of 2021, there's so many parties happening, but you're doing something that feels fun and enjoyable to you, whatever that is, right? And then how it works in our lifespan is when we're done our working age, like our working years, we hit an age where we can retire, and retirement's the fire. You can go have fun, right? And again, you can do whatever feels fun for you, like even traveling. People who have a lot of fire will, I don't know if you heard my shoulder crack. If you have a lot of fire, you're going to want to travel and explore an adventure. And just you're seeking out experiences that feel very adventurous. So I need to ask the question and do the questions yet. So fire, are you moving your body every day? Do you feel like you are very passionate about something? Or like, are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you taking action? Are you standing up for yourself and speaking up for things? Are you doing that for yourself? But like, are you standing up for other people on behalf of other people because they can't speak for themselves? You're like the like loud one. Have you been called loud your whole life? Or like, you need to quiet down. Oh my gosh. Like, have you ever been told you're like too much to handle? That would be fire or air. But yeah, like reflect and journal how you connect with this element. And if you are working with this energy every day, and then it's also cool to track like which cycle of life you're in. I'm assuming most people are going to be in earth that take this program. No one will be in our water stage of life. We're all born. So yes, that is it for this week, and that's next week. But all about the elements, journal, connect, and we're gonna do some fun stuff. I'm gonna go back really quickly. Watch your eyes. So we have our week 1 journal prompts. What is your goal for learning astrology? I feel like I've already told you at one point to go write down a goal. Did I tell you that? I don't know when go write down your goal. I know I've said it. How many planets do you have in water? And again, the connecting, what are some ways you can connect to balance in your life? And if you are feeling unsure of any of these, like, I don't know how to balance this or add this to my life, you bring those questions to the integration session. Again, how many planets in air? Do you feel connected? How many in earth? How many in fire? Lisa, how do I find how many planets I have in things? Well, where is it? Okay. This is a big booklet. They're 96 pages. So this little thing here, you see, fire, air, earth, water. They do in a different order. That's fine. So wherever it says MCAC, the North Node symbol, and the key, don't look at those. Like for me, I have Saturn and Pluto and fire. So I have 2, but they're outer planets. So it's not in my like general personality to be like, right. I have Jupiter, Uranus, Sun, and Venus in air. I love the air energy. That's why I teach. I have Neptune, Mercury, and Mars and Earth. Mercury and Mars are personal planets. Therefore, I do have some Earth. I feel more connected to it than fire. And I got one planet in water, but it's my moon. The moon is like the second planet we talk about, because it goes sun, moon, and then we continue. So like I'm very connected to the water energy as well as the air, even though there's 4 and 1, because the planets kind of have like a hierarchy. We can get into that later, but this is how you figure it out. And don't look at this yet, or we won't go through that yet. But so for me, I would write down 1 water, 4 air, 3 earth, 2 fire. Some of you might have like a lot in one, and you might be missing an element literally, and like you could have like no blue down here. So yeah, you could have no green. So if you are missing an element, like tell me. But yeah, we're gonna go through these again in the session, and then gonna go through some activities and some fun stuff. So yeah, that's everything for this week. Do your journal prompts, please, and make flashcards so that connect words to each element that will help you remember them. Like I'm talking a lot and I'm saying a bunch of things. Half of the things that I'm saying you cannot resonate with. If I say air chatty, you write down air is the chatty energy, if that helps you remember it, right? So yes, that is all. Have a good rest of your day whenever you've watched this, and I will see you in the next video. I'm going to hit stop share, but I have to hit stop record. Okay, I'll see you in the next video now.